Hello and welcome to a new series on speculative realism. This is Couchside, where, small talk, big names. We like to go look at people, beautiful people, just like the man I have with me right here today, and what kind of legacy they've left on the platforms they've worked on, as well as just little things about them that you may not know. So why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, my name is Ollie, and I run a channel called Banjo Guy Ollie, where I do covers of video game music.
Nice. And personally, I am a big fan of that. I am I wouldn't say avid and nowhere near professional, but I am a person who will pick up the banjo and mess around on it every chance I get, which is a little rare to see. I mean, I personally am from Texas. So it's a common instrument, of course, down here, but it's rare in a modern situation to see that.
It's an unusual instrument. I assume what you play is the 5-string American banjo, yeah.
It's the basic American. I don't know what much history about it. In fact, it was funny. I watched a video where somebody talked about the history, and it went right over my head. What made you decide to kind of take on that title, with banjo, and to use folk music for covers and everything like that?
Oh man, that's how you start in, just like that, the big guns. I honestly, I come from a traditional music background. I grew up in France originally, in the Celtic part of France, and I played a lot of flutes and guitar and just cisterns and things like that. And when I moved to Ireland, and I was exposed to Irish music very, very early as well, because there's very, very strong ties between Ireland and Brittany in France, which is the north part of France. Mm-hmm. So when I moved to Ireland, it was sort of a natural move for me. I always wanted to move at least for a year. That was my plan, to move for a year and play and learn a lot more Irish music than I had. I'm still here 22 years later. I haven't left. My background is really traditional Irish and Breton music, Celtic music in general. So the tenor banjo is one of the major instruments in there. There's a few instruments, the violin and the flute, and there's guitars, there's bouzoukis, there's accordions, there's all these instruments actually you see on my channel would be traditional instruments. So it was sort of an easy leap to do, to go from traditional music, which I was playing a lot of, and my initial plan was to do Irish music covers, traditional tunes on a channel on YouTube, and I didn't get a chance to do it. I got lazy and complacent, and I think it was seeing Smooth in the Groove kind of made me aware that I love this video game music as well, and I grew up with it, and I was still playing, and I was still singing or humming or whistling some of these tunes. So I don't know, I think the banjo was the most obvious choice. It's not my main instrument, mm-hmm. but there was, like you said, it's not common, so there was nobody really doing it.
Right, it was kind of a market that had been untouched.
Yeah, well, sort of, in a way. Yeah, the flute mm-hmm. is not versatile enough to base a channel around. Because initially it was just banjo, only banjo. I introduced all these other instruments afterwards. Mm-hmm. So the guitar, well, there's a ton of guitar channels around already. The banjo seemed a sort of natural choice. And it was just odd and quirky, I suppose. So yeah, that was really the driving factor behind starting this channel, and then calling myself Banjo Guy Ollie, I suppose.
Hey, and that's honestly, to me, that makes a lot of sense, and it works out really well. The banjo being a very versatile instrument. I mean, I think about I don't know if you've ever heard of Bela Fleck.
Yeah.
And I may not have grown up with the coherent ability to play a lot of instruments, but I definitely listened to a lot of things. And so I know, you listen to an artist, you start liking their music. And I think in the same sense, you can look back and see how different types of music has evolved in video game wise. And it's like, wow, these are becoming actual scores. These are becoming actually really catchy tunes and stuff. Mm. And I definitely understand why going into both kind of sides, saying, okay, you can use the banjo to base it around because it's unique, and you can continue to do video game music because it's either got nostalgia for you or just a good tune, or as time goes on, I'm sure it'll get even better, where video game music is literally the same as scores for movies.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So this is going to be not a hard-hitting question, and you can choose how you answer this. This is not me intending to put you on the spot for anything. Why YouTube? Why did you choose to put stuff on YouTube as opposed to, I don't know, SoundCloud and other such stuff, unless you are present on those platforms?
Not SoundCloud, but yeah, I'm pretty much everywhere else, really. Not by choice, it's just SoundCloud, I'd have to take a subscription and that kind of stuff. I don't know, YouTube was sort of the default medium for these covers. And once I discovered Smooth McGroove, I started looking into other cover artists, and I was like, oh, it's actually a genre on YouTube, you know, VGM covers. So, I don't know. It was... for me, the first few videos, I really wasn't planning on starting a channel. I really wasn't. Like the first 4 or 5 videos. The first one was just to see if I could do it. The second one was just a small indulgence, and then I got a couple of requests from friends, so I did those afterwards. I think the first 4 or 5 covers, and then I was like, I found myself with I think a couple of thousand subscribers on the channel. So I thought, oh fuck! Like there's something in there, you know. People are liking it, and I was actually genuinely loving the process of making these covers. So I kept going, and it sort of happened. I don't know. I didn't ask myself like what platform do I want to put them on. I think YouTube sort of was the obvious choice. Also, I come from. Like I've been a full-time musician for a small period of time, for a year, and I come from the idea that if you want to see a performer, at least he's got to earn a living, you know. So there was the monetization side of things that YouTube offered as well, right. Which I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to do this now on a more regular basis, it'd be great if I could get some money for it. Not a lot of money, but at least some incentive to keep going. I think for artists it's really important. I see myself as an artist, really, but it just if you're making any sort of art, I suppose, there's that. I mean, you got to pay the bills at the end of the day. So YouTube offered that, and by extension, other platforms like crowdfunding and things like that. But yeah, I think that was the semantic factor for me, just to be on YouTube. It was kind of normal. Everybody's on YouTube, really, if you think about it.
And that's kind of why I do ask that question, is just because so many people are there, sometimes for different reasons. Sometimes, like for you, it was the obvious choice. It was the first one you encountered. Everybody else who was doing the format was on that platform. Some other people are just like, well, I looked at the research, and it doesn't matter. To me, it's just really cool to see these people out there making their content on a platform where pretty much anybody can watch it or listen to it in this case.
That was it. I mean, I was making music on my own, in my own room anyway. I was, making mixes and things like that, and making things for friends as well. So I thought, well, if I'm going to do something, it'd be cool if people could see it, I'm going to do it anyway, so might as well put it out. And YouTube was sort of the default platform for that, absolutely, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think it's easy to say that, and I could be wrong on this, because as I had been subscribed to your channel for a while, but then I didn't notice that there was a podcast thing that you were a part of. Or some group that you were connected to, and I could be incorrect about that.
Yeah.
But what this originally was going to be was, it's easy to say that people probably know you best for your content. They may know you for other things now at this point, but without pulling away too many curtains, let's give them a peek inside, or the inside of the outside of your work. What does that even mean? Let's look beyond what you do. So, what are some hobbies and interests you have outside of the work that you do?
Yeah, I have a few. All right. One of the things, I have a couple of channels. So one of the other channel I have is another music channel where I do my composition. So fair enough. That's that out of the way. But I have a sort of a vintage computer and machine repair channel. So I collect arcade machines and arcade boards.
Oh wow.
So I have a small arcade room here that I kind of built from scratch. So I think I have about 12 machines now at this stage. It's full. It's full. I can't take any more. I still am. But so I have a channel where, because I usually get them broken, so I repair them and I film the process. And, it's all with the schematics and showing how to fix, like, I don't know, like the last few ones were Kung Fu Master in 1942 and that kind of, again, Ghost and Goblins is now running. Yeah, so it's all this kind of vintage stuff that I enjoy very much. Right, at the moment I'm fixing, I'm pretty much done finishing on repairing a pinball. Whitewater pinball by Williams. That was actually given to me. Somebody gave me that. They found it in their warehouse at work and they were going to throw it away. And I was on holidays in France at the time, so they sent me a message. I had just arrived in France, and I got a message on Facebook on my phone saying, "My boss found this in the room. It's going to be thrown in the dump tomorrow. Do you want it?" And I was like, "Well, I won't be back. I'm on holiday, so I won't be back for another 2 weeks. Can you wait?" And said, "No, it's going in the dump tomorrow." So I had to organise a transport in Ireland from where it was to my house in Ireland, and where it sat under the porch for about 2-3 weeks before I got it. But I got it sorted. I think it cost me $50, something like that, just for the transport. So I'm not complaining.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Relatively speaking,
I was working on it just before this. Actually, it's now fully running and working. And so I film all the process, all that kind of stuff on one of my channel. So that's one of my hobbies. But I paint a lot as well. I used to paint a lot more than I do now. I'm trying to get back into it. And I do a lot of sports. So I live near the beach, so it's a surf beach, so I surf a lot, and I teach judo once a week in a club here to kids. I do karate as well. I have a lot of stuff I'm doing, man. I don't have enough enough hours in the day, and I have a regular job as well. So,
Well, and expanding out, whatever your interests are is always good. And if you can find outlets for that, it's always even better, because then you can, you can say, well, I like doing this, but I can do it in a productive manner. I can teach these kids, or I can just let off some steam surfing, or I can freaking reconstruct, a really old pinball machine, and I think that's really cool, is kind of delving into each one of those with a different passion you have.
And all those skills cross-pollinate in a way. I think from the martial art things, because I've done martial art pretty much all my life since I was 7. I think I started judo and then karate and other things, but it definitely gave me a work ethics for just grinding at your craft and not expecting results straight away. So the channel, I was like, well, let's do this for 5-6 years. It wasn't I want to be big or whatever. It was never my plan, but I was like, well, let's see where it goes, and think about it in 5-6 years, because that's when you can claim that you've learned the skill and learned the craft and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's the long term and the sort of regimented attitude towards just grinding for a while and just see where it brings you. And then you realize that that's the part you enjoy most, the process, not the end result. Like I always say, I do some podcasts or some Q&A chat on my channel every now and then, and then people ask me, like, which cover of mine I prefer and that kind of stuff. And I always say, well, I don't really have a favorite, because when they're done, they're done. Like, I don't listen to them once I launch them. I've literally no interest. That's for hopefully other people to enjoy.
Right.
But me, like, I don't sit there and listen to my stuff. So it's the process of making them that I enjoy most, not necessarily the end result. So that, I think the martial arts side of things probably kind of wire your brain to think that way. Just enjoy the craft and the progress, and the road is more interesting than the destination, really.
I can definitely agree with that. And I see that too in a lot of crafts that other people work on. It's a matter of, if you have the discipline to have patience and to work, do the work, not concern yourself about the end goal, because the end goal will present itself. It's just a matter of not only working hard, but enjoying that work as much as you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I think you get impatient if your eyes are on the end goal. I think that's why some people don't necessarily finish everything they start, because you start getting impatient.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just enjoy the moment of just I don't know, making the tedious parts fun and interesting. I know. I'm finding it hard to put into words, but it's definitely enjoy the process more than the end result.
No, I completely understand, and I've witnessed that in my own life, where you get hooked on, ooh, this is going to be so cool when it's finished, and cut back to 14-year-old me trying to make a movie, or something, and it's like, oh, this is going to be so awesome when it's finished, and then I'm so busy thinking about what all the cool stuff's going to be in it, I don't take the time to realize I can't do this, and I get caught up, and then I say, oops, well, I guess there's no product now, and so that's what currently is kind of the goal, even with this channel, is it's saying, hey, we're going to make stuff for the heck of it, we're going to have fun, but if we get somewhere, we get somewhere. If we don't, we live and learn.
It's good to have a personal goal in a way, but I think hard end goals like that and just having your eyes just on that can be detrimental. Not always, but it can. I think if you just, because you hear a lot of people say you have to have a goal and you have the target, and which is right, they're correct. You have to have a goal, but I think you also need to enjoy the road to that goal first and foremost. If you don't, I've got news.
You can't let the goal consume you so much that you do not enjoy what you're doing, because if you don't enjoy doing it, why are you doing it? You know. Well, I guess what are your musical preferences? That would be a question. You said what you grew up with. You said what might have inspired you to choose the route that you did. But when you listen to music genres, do you kind of just have a whole palette of things, or is there one style you kind of lean more to?
Yeah, I do listen to everything and anything, really. I listen as much as I can. It's hard to be selective. So I was talking to David Wise about. I don't know if people who don't know him, he's the composer
of Donkey Kong Country, right?
Donkey Kong. So I was talking to him about what is his preference and if he had time to listen to stuff, and he said yes, but he says, and I'm in the same boat, you have to be sort of selective. So if I want to listen to EDM music, I'm probably going to listen to stuff from, I don't know, Skrillex and Deadmau5 and a few other people. I don't quite have time to dig deep into the genre, so you have to go to probably the figureheads of specific genres. But I try to listen to a lot of stuff from classical to EDM. I just love music. So I think when you do the danger when you get set into a genre, which was the problem when I was doing a lot of traditional music, is that I was playing with a lot of people who just like traditional Irish music, and within that genre they like a certain type of, it gets so segmented. So
I could see how that kind of is like, you can't spread your wings,
But I'd say you probably see the same in the bluegrass, and the old time music in the US really as well. So it gets so segmented and so sectarian in a way that it's sometimes kind of better to be on the outside and appreciate everything. Music is music, it's you can like metal and EDM. It's quite possible, and in fact I from experience I find more people that sort of like everything. So I don't have a particular genre. Maybe traditional music and old 80s metal would have been my CDs of choice, but nowadays I have everything and anything in my car. I usually listen to music when I drive, so I have some Deadmau5 in there. I have some a few French artists. Actually, my wife doesn't speak French, but she enjoys some of the French music I have. So, and I have some classical stuff. I've sort of everything.
Yeah, I'm guilty of enjoying things I can't understand more times than not, especially with...
It's good because you can focus on the music. The words don't distract you, so you can actually just enjoy the music and the work for what it is.
I can definitely 100% agree with that with a lot of stuff. There's a bunch of Japanese pieces, either from video games or animations that'll pop up, and my sister was just head over heels for all this stuff. And I was like, it's not really my thing. I started listening to it and I said, that's really good jam. Like, that sounds really good. And then I'd be like, I have no idea what they're saying. I hope it's nothing bad, but it sounds really good.
Now, J-pop and Kpop and stuff like that is not something I've listened to much of. A little bit, but not enough. But it's hard to it's hard to get into it. There's a cultural thing there as well. That,
Yeah,
you know,
it's a different kind of. It's a different format, and I'm not a diehard in any sense of the term fan of K-pop or J-pop. I have listened to a bit of them. I listen to more the stuff that I've heard and probably listened to, and even to the extent of bought CDs or stuff for, has been stuff that has been made popularized by localized media, anime, and video games and stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
And in most cases, you'll get an English version of those pieces when they come over, but people are doing it less and less. Now you get just the straight up Japanese media. So
yeah, I prefer that as well, because sometimes some of it is lost in translation. But whenever if there's an anime or a video game that has some cool Japanese stuff, I will look who it is. Sometimes you discover a band or a composer or a singer. Like it's really cool.
I think that it's an interesting thing, and it's good to have your to rephrase the term, to have your ears open to
Absolutely,
several various genres. It was funny. I grew up blessed. I don't use that term lightly, but I grew up blessed in a household where, even though you would assume perhaps my parents would like only one type of music, growing up, my dad was into almost everything. And even to the extent of, he himself was a musician. He was, he's an audio engineer. So he knows both sides. He knows how to play the instrument well, and then how to make it sound good in every other aspect. And so it was really funny because he'd be able to look at all these different genres, and I got pulled in and got to listen to a ton of stuff growing up. And it really did give me a different look at music, because even today I'll show some of my friends, I'll be like, oh, cool, look at this thing. And they'll be like, what the heck is this? Like, this sounds so weird. And I'll say, yeah, but it's good. And they'll be like, how is this good? What are you doing? I know I mentioned him earlier, but Bela Fleck is a prime example of that for me, because I'll listen to, it's bluegrass jazz, or it's just weird jazz, or I literally have a playlist on YouTube, I believe, and it has got everything from, Styx to like Toto and Mr. Mister, then immediately goes over to like Bela Fleck and Vince Guaraldi, and scores from Randy Newman and stuff from David Wise and stuff from Grant Kirkhope, and it's just this mix of and of course Koji Kondo's on there, and it's this crazy mix of stuff. But I definitely believe, just like you said, it's beneficial to have that variety.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's the same discussion we had earlier about having different hobbies and interests and things cross pollinate. If you keep your ears open, like you said, and just listen to bits of everything, especially if you want to compose or appreciate music properly, or appreciate the work that went into it, it's important to listen to a lot of stuff. I think that's one of the reason I took on a lot of hobbies, is just curiosity. Like, if there's something I don't quite know or don't quite understand, like I'll delve into it at least for a little while, so I have a basic understanding of somebody else's craft, and then every now and then, like painting, I get stuck into it, and then I turn that into more of a hobby than I'd initially planned. But it's at least to understand how much work was put into a piece. That's why I find it hard to say I don't like a video game, because
you understand that so much work was put into it, even if it's not as good as people wanted it to be. I think that way all the time, even when it comes to like movies and stuff. Now, I will be critical. If I see something that is just horrendous, I will be critical, but it's different than being just down-putting.
Yeah. No, absolutely, yeah. No, you can be critical. It's just, but to dismiss somebody else's work just because you didn't like it is an odd choice to me. I get sent a lot of Steam keys and that kind of stuff because of the channel and especially on the other channel, and so I get sent those keys to review the game, which I rarely do. And the reason I rarely do it is because, well, a lot of these games aren't quite great, and if I did a review, it'd be a review saying that they're not very good games. So
right, or at least they're not your type of game,
Yeah, so I'd rather not do that, exactly, but I'd rather not do that where I'd be overly critical and say that I didn't like it. I'd rather just not do a review altogether, and then,
I think that's reasonable. I think that's completely reasonable.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people have no problem. I'm not going to do something like that for the sake of making one video. You know, it's silly.
I understand that. I think it's a similar thing when I look at works in movies and works in other stuff. You know, you watch something. There's a difference between it having a lack of quality and it having a lack of preference. And a lack of preference is exclusively on the viewer. If it's not my thing, if it's not enjoyable to me, or I'm not good at it, in let's say in a video game sense, if I don't enjoy a game because I can't understand the controls, I do not blame the game. Now, I would love to. I would love to say that I'm the video game master and that every game is terrible. But no, I understand that somebody put a lot of time into this and they made a complex system that I can't wrap my head around. But it's just not my thing.
Yeah, that's how I feel about Bloodborne. I cursed that game so much in private.
Well, you won't want to talk to my co-host about that.
No, I had to come to the realization that I am not the audience for this game, and that was that. After once I realized that I could not even get to the first boss in Bloodborne, and I think the main problem was me. I'm not made for that game, and that was as simple as that. I got so many messages afterwards of people offering to play with me in co-op and that kind of stuff. And once you understand the controls, and it's really easy, blah 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 blah. And then I watched a few Let's Plays, and even people who were very good at the game were getting their ass kicked as well. So I was like, no, I don't have time. I probably have maybe 2-3 hours a week to play a video game these days.
Wow.
So Bloodborne, that's not a game I can afford to play. It's not a 2-3 hours a week game.
No, I understand that. Jeez, and to let you in on a not so secret, I was in the same boat. The only thing that allowed me to get through it and hardly even get very far into it was a social interaction. I had a close friend of mine who was playing it, and he wanted me to play it, and I was like, well, okay, sure, I'll pick it up. And it was the fact that he was the one that was playing most of it. It was kind of the joke of, if it's a hard part, I'll hand you the controller. Next, it turned into me just handing him the controller, and we're talking while he's doing whatever in the game. To me, that's kind of the what makes video games fun. I don't really get into too many ones that are just single player experiences. I like games that I can socialize in.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Yeah, that's a good. I think that's why Let's Plays are so popular. It's just it sort of creates that proximity with whoever's playing. Like, I remember when I was a kid in the arcades, a lot of the fun, because I didn't have the money to play those games. I had maybe a couple of it was francs or pounds at the time, but so you'd play about 4 or 5 games, and that's it. Like, and you're still there for the day. So part of the fun, which was watching other people play. The idea of Let's Play, which a lot of people found silly when it came out, but I mean, that was just an extension of watching your friend play and socializing to some extent.
Yeah, something that had existed for years before that.
But so maybe that's what I ended up doing, because I could see that the lore was really interesting in Bloodborne, and by the way, if we're talking about music, the soundtrack in this is stellar. But I wanted to know more about the lore, so I ended up watching a lot of Let's Plays on it, and it's a cool lore, cool story, cool game. It's way too hard for me. I can't. I don't have the time really to learn the skills to play it. Yeah,
same boat for me. And almost any other Souls game or Born Souls series, any of those, I'm not good at.
Born Souls.
Celeste
Souls was another one.
Yeah.
Celeste
oh my
was
goodness.
Another one. Yeah.
My friend kept pushing me to play this game, and even now they're like, "Oh, the new DLC's coming out. You got to play it." I'm like, "It's not my cup of tea."
No.
Like, I can admire it because it is a beautiful game.
And cool music too there as well.
And fantastic music, but it's not my thing, and I am going to be the last person to try and hone my skills on a platformer. I mean, I even do bad at Mario nowadays. I don't know how I beat these games when I was a kid, but I do bad at Mario now, so.
Yeah, I'm not a good player either. I'm not very good. I completed, the last game I completed fully was actually no, it was Hyrule, Cadence of Hyrule, but it was Monster Boy, and I think that took me 40 hours when everybody else seems to be doing it in 25 or so hours. Yeah, I died a lot in that game.
Wow. I can imagine. There are several situations where I'm not going to finish something simply because I'm not feeling it. And if I'm not one to rage, I'm not one to really get frustrated, but I will lose interest quickly if it is something that would normally frustrate another person.
Yeah, you just know quickly, you know.
Like, yeah, I'm done with this. Okay, so some weird questions, because this wouldn't be a speculative realism show without some weird questions. And you may answer these in whatever way you want. You may ask the questions to be reworded. You may just not answer them at all. Duel to the death. If you were to fight somebody in a duel to the death, would you choose pistol or sword?
I'd make it interesting, swords.
There you go. You gotta make it enjoyable.
Longer.
Hey, it's about those people who are watching, you know?
Yeah, at least you get a fighting chance with swords, but the pistol it's over.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
It makes me think of, though, when I came up with the question, made me think of the I believe it was a Monty Python sketch where it was like, pistol or sword? Okay, you chose the sword, now you get the pistol. And it's like, wait a second. If you could have, out of the following, strength, speed, telekinesis, telepathy, or technology, which would you choose as a superpower?
So, strength, speed, telekinesis,
telepathy, and then technology. And that's an interesting one, of course. The only reason why I thought about that one is because a lot of superheroes end up using that instead of an actual power.
Oh, really? I'd go for speed.
Okay.
Yeah. If you have speed, strength is cool, but if you slow as fuck, like you're not gonna get very far. If you have speed, you build up the kinetic energy anyway, so you end up with some strength. You just have to redirect it properly.
Speed is weight, and weight is strength. So
yeah, and then you'll get anywhere super fast. Won't be seen. Yeah, speed is a good one.
That makes sense. That works perfectly. All right, so here's some more down to earth ones. If you could compose or perform the music for any series, in a reboot or a parody, what would you choose? And that series can be from any medium. Like if there's a series that you thought, I'd be honored to work on that. What comes to mind?
I already did.
Really?
Yeah, my dream series. It was the Monster Boy game, which is the last installment of the Wonder Boy series. And it started early days of the channel. It was my second cover, and I got approached by a company called FDG Entertainment, and they asked me if they could use the cover for one of their teaser trailer, because they were working on a Wonder Boy sequel, unofficial at the time. So I said yes, and then I got involved in the project a bit more, because we started talking I was saying to them, I said, look, I'm going to do more covers. It's my favorite series, my favorite game, Wonder Boy 3, and if you want to use them, you'll be more than welcome. At this stage, they pay me money to use the cover already, and I said, if you want to use them, just take them. I won't ask for anything. I'm just happy to be on the helping with the project. And as it grew bigger over the years, that was in 2014, it grew bigger and became an official sequel to the Wonder Boy series, which is a Sega series. And I ended up doing 7 covers that were inside the game, for the game. We obviously changed our contract, but and then I got a character in the game, which is an NPC. So it's like in Shovel Knight, you unlock the tunes from him, and you have to get like 3 scrolls per tunes or that kind of stuff. So yeah, I got to work on the game, make music for it, but I also got feature in the game, and they did a character for me in the game, and in the manual as well. You can see a little animal. I think it's an otter that plays the banjo and it's got the plated shirt and the hat and that kind of stuff. And last December, they invited me to their launch party in Paris. So yeah, that was really cool, really cool. It launched on pretty much everything. Switch, recently on PC, on Steam, but it first launched on the Switch. Monster Boy. So yeah, that kind of happened.
What's funny about that, and the only reason why this draws attention to me is because I watched a little event called now I can't remember which one it was. I believe it was SGDQ, which is a speed running marathon thing.
Yeah.
And they had that game.
Okay.
And they were, and people were showing it off and messing it around. And it was funny. I did a little search after I had seen it because there was a different name. People were calling it one name, and then some people were calling it another name.
Oh, Flying Hamster, maybe.
Well, it was funny because Wonder Boy, and then it became Monster Boy and the Curse of something, and being in the series, I was kind of confused, and so I ended up doing a little quick search and like finding stuff, and I said, oh, that's interesting, and I never looked into it beyond that. I hadn't touched it, I hadn't played
there you go.
And it was just kind of a moment where I was like, this is, and I quote myself, this is going to come back to haunt me, where this is going to become popular, this is going to become important, and you know what, that day has come. But jokes aside, that is awesome.
It was really cool. It was I keep saying it was a dream that I never had that came true. Really, it was just I was just doing stuff as a fan, and next thing I'm in a video game. Yeah, that was just really, really cool. And them inviting me over and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was fantastic. I got to meet a couple of more developers, so there's talks of things, and I'm under NDA, so I can't say more than that. But it was really, really cool and great experience, and hopefully more will come out of that, but we'll see.
Oh yeah, well, we shall see in the future.
Yeah. If I had to pick another one, though, it would definitely be a Castlevania.
I expected as much. I'm not gonna lie, I expected as much, because when I kept back when I had found your work, and I kept sharing around some of your Castlevania stuff, because to me it was such an interesting take on it, and I even made a joke about how I would love to use that concept of the Banjo vampire killer, one for a cosplay I had planned where it was going to be like a cowboy Simon Belmont, and they're like, you're joking, right? And I was like, well, it'd be funny, but I expected, because I kept seeing that pop up. He might say this one.
Yeah, it was the Castlevania was my first cover ever, and Wonder Boy 3 was my second. But yeah, the first Castlevania, it was Vampire Killer, it was called, because I played it on the MSX. My father used to work for Philips.
The name was changed, yeah.
Yeah, so it was called Vampire Killer. It was slightly different. It was more of an exploration game than a scroller like that. But it looked really cool. But the music's sort of the same, so that was the reason. I named it a Castlevania cover because that's what people would know.
Be a little more widely appealing. Well, exactly, considering that the song itself is titled Vampire Killer.
Exactly.
It was pretty easy to cover both bases.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly. So that was an obvious choice for the first one, because it was my first MSX2 game. I had what a fucking game too, and and Wonder Boy 3 was my probably second favorite game of that era.
Man, that's actually really cool, because then you kind of well, who knows, Konami, if you're listening to this, but it goes into the thought of thinking what you enjoyed and what happened, and then how it kind of trailed off into something that actually came to fruition, even though you didn't expect anything to come of it. And
exactly, yeah.
Not to say it goes full circle, but it kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier about don't focus on a goal, because we'll have a goal set, but don't be so enveloped by that you miss the opportunity to get these other little goals that pop up, and these other little things that could lead to big things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It wasn't like we said, it wasn't at all my goal to make music for a video game. But yeah, there you go.
It happened anyway. You're gonna do it whether you like it or not. I'm joking. But man, thank you so much for joining me today and putting up with my weirdness.
Not at all.
It has been fantastic to interview you about these things. Is there anything else you'd like to kind of mention, either about your work or maybe put in some information so people can find you who don't know who you are?
Yeah, well, Banjo Guy Ollie is the name of the channel, and it's pretty much the same name on every social media platform, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. So you can find me there, and then I've links to all my other channels there as well. So I'm not going to list them or Banjo Guy Ollie on YouTube is where you'll find me.
All right, and then they can branch off from there, and they can find all the little tiny things, which aren't so tiny. I'm still in awe that you're doing vintage repairs on stuff, because that's something that actually interests me a little bit.
It's fun. I think everybody who collects or has an interest in those old video games probably has an interest in a channel like that. You know, like there's a reason somebody like LGR or the 8-Bit Guy are
there you go. It's so funny you mentioned the first two people that came to mind when I thought of that concept.
Popular because it's nerdy stuff. It's what we all did. It's what we all wanted to do at some point. You know, make a video game, or
even when we didn't have the money to.
Or repair your console because it just broke down, or if you could, you know, I make repro carts and stuff as well on the channel. So you know, all that kind of stuff is. I think anybody who's an interest in retro gaming has an interest, and more it's nice to see. It's actually very nice to see more and more interest in those sort of DIY repair channels.
Yeah,
it's encouraging.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us today. And
thank you.
Hopefully, maybe we can do something with Spec again in the future. You know, don't feel forced to. We're creepy people, but we are friendly.
Anytime. No worries, anytime. Thank you very much for having me.